Hello, YouTube. Well, I'm back. Another week down. What, 45? 46? I don't know. I got like 7 more left to go, 6 more left to go. So it should be like 46, I believe. Till possible IC phase, which I called my DBL about, and he said I could go ahead and go to the recruiting page and fill that stuff out, and they'll start going through the whole process. Excuse me for a minute. Sorry, had to sneeze. Anyway, so I've got to oil this seat, this thing, and I know it's louder. I watched one of my videos the other day. The thing creaks like crazy. Anyway, this week was horrible. I mean, really bad. So Monday I didn't do anything. Monday I came up here, I sat for 6 hours, and this is let me adjust y'all. It'll happen. It'll happen because freight is soft around here. Well, they call it soft. It's there's really not much going on. Rates are down, so from what my understanding is rates are down. Mega carriers will not bid on certain ones because they're well below their profit threshold, if you want to call it that, and I can understand that. I mean, if I was driving for myself and I needed to clear, I don't know, say 80-90 cents a mile just to start making a profit, and it was only $1.20 a mile, I might not even roll for that, because unless it's to get you home, there's no money in that at all. So, gotta look at that. I'll do a breakdown later on of what I presume I can make being a beginner as an IC. I've checked out a few videos of these guys. I've seen settlement posts of the guys who actually make money, and I've seen settlement posts of the guys. Well, I haven't seen their posts. They don't usually brag unless they're in the $5,000 club, which puts you at about $2,500 take home. After expenses for truck payment and all the others, because you got to take out the truck payment, which is anywhere on the new ones they're like $1,200 I think a week, and yeah, that is astronomically high, but you pay it off in 3 years instead of 5 or whatever. Anyway, so their payments are like $1,200 or something like that a week for a new Freightliner, and the gas runs anywhere. It depends on how you work it. I mean, there's a card, I think, or whatever, an application. I don't know. I have to look that up. I got some more research to do, so, but I'll try and keep y'all up to date on how it all works. It's the NASTC. Now, Schneider has their own discount, but it's not nearly as much as the NASTC card. You also have to look at tax rates in certain states, so you don't want to fill up in this state because the tax rate is 50 cents as opposed to the state over where the tax rate is only 30 cents, and that's just a hypothetical because they might not be that high, and they might be higher. I don't think they get much higher than 50, but I haven't done any research, so I couldn't tell you. Anyway, so yeah, looking forward to getting in my own and getting things done and being able to take off when I need to, although I don't think I'm going to be able to do as much as I'd like to do to start off with until I learn the lanes, which is also fine by me. I mean, if I'm making the money that I'm making now and still turn a slight profit, I'll be good to go. The idea there is set yourself up as either a LLC or a S Corp or a there's another one in there, and set yourself up as that. Get yourself a good accountant and a few other steps involved there. Get a company credit card that pays cash back, and have that thing paid off every month, and that way the credit cards will actually be paying you to use their card instead of you running on an interest rate. That'll build the credit up for the company. It'll make that look good. There's all kinds of other factors in there, but I'm not going into all that right now. I mean, I'll show all y'all that later on. It only looks like I screwed up on keeping track this week. It only looks like I got about 1,548 miles, which is crap pay. Maybe 600 for the settlement, not including per diem. So y'all got to understand that's going to happen. I mean, you new guys coming out here, actually that's probably about what you're going to average to start off with. They'd like you to drive, especially if you're OTR more than a week out at a time. They'd like you to drive at least 700 miles a day. No, I'm sorry. Can't do that in our trucks. At least, not a company truck anyway, at least 500 miles a day, I think it was, in 7.5 hours or something like that. That way you're running off a recap and you're not using up your 70 hours all the way. They'll go over that with you in training. Me, I'll run, and they know I'll do it. That's why they throw me on some of these runs. I'll run 10 hours as far as I can, just to get close as I can to my drop point. And the thing with that is, when you're running, you don't know what's going to happen the next day. You don't know when you're going to be down. That's another thing why pre-trip and post-trip is so important. I had one where I had a flat tire when I got to my drop point. So I dropped the trailer and did a macro, which is a form message that you send. Instead of calling SEM, since I didn't need the trailer anymore and it was dropping, you send a form message in, and it's called macro 12, or it used to be called that. It's just called form message now, and it will actually get someone to come out there and fix the tire, presumably. I've heard sometimes they don't, but yeah, I downed that trailer and sent in a macro on it, which is what you're supposed to do. Next week, I know I'm running that dedicated account a little bit. They got me starting out the first day, but it's not round tripping, so that tells me when you've done, like, helped out enough on an account, you can pretty much predict what they're going to do with you. So I've run this account enough to know when I go down there to Florida, when I'm coming back up, if there's no return listed, like a round trip, like if you run, say, Target, most of the time, because they're Target dedicated trailers, you're not going to have a trip coming up if you're an OTR driver filling in, because of the fact it's a Target dedicated trailer. The return trip you'll get is a sweep trailer, which is a trailer that has return product on it or something like that, whatever junk they put on the trailer. Half the time you'll have it, half the time you won't. I like that account because the weight's usually great. You don't have to play with the weight at all. This account that I'm running, though, sometimes it's round trip and sometimes it's not. Mine is not, so that tells me I'm going to have a hectic day more than likely, because I'm going to do another one of those crazy runs where I get back with anywhere from 20 minutes to 1 hour if I'm lucky when I get back to here or there. And I'm not going to take my car over there this time. It costs $15, $20 for me to drive over, get an Uber up over here to get my car, or to leave it there. So at 1 week, I don't know if I'm going to have it more than 1 week. If I knew I was going to be running it for another 2 or 3 weeks until the account shuts down, unless they're just going to run whenever. I'm just not going to get my car. I'll park up there and then drive over here, or depending on how much time I have left, or camp out over there. Hopefully, I can come back here, but that all depends on how the day runs. And it being a hectic day, I might not make it back, because Port Wentworth, Georgia and Pooler, Georgia traffic, starting at 4 o'clock with Gulfstream, is one of the most ridiculous towns. It's not as bad as some of the others I've been in, and if you know your way around, you can actually get around some of it. But I don't like fighting this traffic. I know how it runs, and these people just get, like everywhere else, they just get amazingly stupid, and it don't know how to drive. They won't leave gaps. They too much careless driving out there. I wish I'd started this industry years ago so I could already be out of it in my investments that I plan on making, because people need to learn how to drive. Too many people getting licenses because they think it's a right. It's a privilege to drive. It's not a right. You can lose that privilege. Some of you deserve, well, I'm not saying y'all necessarily, but some people deserve to lose that privilege because they cannot drive. What else is there? Oh, yeah, so weights. I did have a weight issue. Now I know I went over the bridge law, and there's some things you can get away with, but I was running South Carolina, picked up a load. I had 11,980 on the steers. I had 30. I had to send my DBL a message because they had to rework. They had to rip a pallet off the back. So I had 11,980 on the steers. The drives were 31,780, and the rear was 36,220. This is basically at 41 feet. And in South Carolina, they don't play. You got to have the 34, 12. You can't really move any discrepancies around that. They don't allow it. I probably could have got away with it in Georgia, maybe, if I was lucky. I actually know I could have, because I would have had to spread my axles, and then right before I hit Florida, I was dropping back. I don't know if I could get away with it in Florida either, but I'd have to look that up again. So I had them take a pallet off, and it ended up being 12 on the steers and 33.7 or 8, and I don't remember what it was on the drives, but it all worked out. So I had to have them rip it off because it was 2 stops. They couldn't just rework it, but it took them an hour to get to me and rip it off. Whereas if I had that hour and the extra say 30 minutes almost to get to this weigh station, the scale house and back, the cat scale and back, I lost an hour and a half, so which I could have used to drive here because I had just enough time to get back home. I had like 2 hours and 20 minutes left, 2 hours and 10 minutes, and it was a 2 hour and 20 minute drive. So if I had that time, I might have made it back. I don't know. 95 coming down South Carolina to Georgia is on a Friday, and rush hour is one of the worst stretches. There was something in there about them saying they're going to widen that, but I haven't seen them do a thing yet. I just seen them, well, I did. I saw them put cones out and clean up the side where it looks like they're going to put pavement. Other than that, that's about as far as they got. But yeah, this week was terrible. Next week looks like it might be shaping up a little bit, and hopefully freight will pick up. On another note, as far as that IC thing goes, I might hold off. I don't know yet. I've been watching freight prices, and dry van and reefer and flatbed are all level. They have not budged since March. So for March and April, or for February, March, the last 2 months I looked at, it might be half of April, or it might be all of February, March, but they're right at whatever level it was. It wasn't very high. It was like $1.80 maybe, but they're staying the same. Hopefully they will. If they stay there, then I'll probably hit it. If they don't and start dropping more, I might not go for it, because there's got to be a profit margin in there, and if it's too low and I can't make money doing it, then it doesn't make sense to do it, because then I'll just be paying for the truck and I won't be able to make any money for myself. And I don't want to stay out a whole month at a time. Some of y'all do. I'm not. That's not me. I've killed myself for decades in every job I've been at and never had enough home time. And I'm done with that. I'm done with killing myself for anyone. And those of y'all that are young that are doing it and you have children, don't do that. Don't. It ruins families more than you know. So, watching the freight lines, I got to keep an eye on those. I'm going to pull some more statistics, and I might go over that too to maybe help y'all get an understanding of how the market goes. We had a crash, I don't know, what was it, 09, 010, 08, 09, whatever it was. It was the freight crash of whatever year, and freights just fell through the floor. Right now, it's looking, some of the prediction people are saying it's looking like it's headed that way, and some of them aren't. And part of the reason is our borders and the free trade agreement stuff. And yeah, Trump is bringing back companies to the U.S., but we're losing a lot of freight, not being able to move this stuff. So with so many drivers coming out and everything from the plus that was out there last year, it's going to kind of look like it's dying down, because the more drivers you got, the less you got to pay, because there's more trucks available. When the trucks are not available, it's one of the things you got to look at. When the trucks aren't available, then freight demand goes up, and truck demand goes up, and prices go up. When there's more trucks than there is freight, prices go down, because you got cutthroat people that are like, oh, well, $1 a mile, I'll take that. Dude, you're making, like, if you're making anything, you're making 10-20 cents a mile, and that's less than company driver pay. You're gonna wear out your vehicle. It just doesn't make sense. So, and you know, I don't know. And I got to research some truck stuff, so I got to see what kind of rear ends we got. I'm on a page, 9+ mile per gallon, 9+ MPG or whatever it's called on Facebook, and there's a guy on there got a Freightliner just like mine, and he pulled 43.5 in the box through the Virginia mountains and got 10.5 miles per gallon. And he uses 3 different programs to track his mileage. And he said his discrepancy is 0.10 to 0.15 the majority of the time. So even at a worst case scenario, 10.5 minus 0.15 is 10.35 miles per gallon, pulling 80,000 pounds in that truck. I can't get in this Schneider truck, I can't get above, I mean, I was empty today. I got like 10.3, so I probably got 9.8 to 10, but that was only for 200 miles, and that was empty. Now, when I'm loaded, I can get when I'm loaded, 40 in a box in Virginia. I've gotten I think right at the 7.9 mark. So I'm like 2 miles per gallon below this dude. I can see maybe 1 mile per gallon below, but 2, I think it's because we can't go above 63. I think that has something to do with it. I'm not sure. But he said his gear ratio, his rear end was like 2.14, something like that. I don't know what ours are. That's another thing I gotta look at. So there's a lot of things in there. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go home. You guys, hit like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit that little bell or whatever. I don't know how this thing works. All I do is record the videos and post them. So, yeah, hit the like, subscribe, and all that, and y'all keep the left door closed and keep the hammer down.